It's time for your nightly tropical weather update. We are getting very close to the typical peak of our hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin, and right on cue, we are getting some more activity waking up in the Atlantic. Right now, nothing a threat to the Gulf, but of course, as you know, we always have to keep an eye on these systems. Here is the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. This just came out a couple of hours ago. Here are the two zones we are watching. One, an area of thunderstorm activity near Bermuda, the island of Bermuda right there. This has a 50-50 shot of developing into a depression or a storm in the next 7 days. Notice though, it is moving north and eventually east. So that is going to be moving away from land, way up into the far North Atlantic. So while this one might develop into a storm, it does not pose a threat at this point to any land masses. It's going to be this other one down here that we're watching, and this is actually a tropical wave that's just now today coming off of the west coast of Africa there. A big cluster of thunderstorms you're going to be able to see on satellite here in just a bit. But the National Hurricane Center is thinking this too has about a 50-50 shot of developing in 7 days. And notice this is a path we're going to watch a little more carefully, even though right now this one also does not pose a threat to the Gulf. It is going to be something a little closer that we're going to be watching over the next week to week and a half. Here's the satellite image. I've highlighted both of these disturbances. A lot of thunderstorm activity there just off of Bermuda. This one might develop first, to be honest with you, because it's already way out there in the open water. So this could actually become the next named storm first before this one does. Either way, it's kind of a toss-up at this point which one might develop first, but there's that first zone. And then notice way down here off of Africa, this one is literally just coming off the coast into the open water. So it's going to be a little bit before it really gets its act together. That's why we're probably looking at this one first if it does get named. But I do think the second one over the next several days would be one that bears watching a little bit more carefully. There's the big Bermuda High right over the Atlantic Ocean. That's we call it that because it's close to the island of Bermuda, and that serves as a really big steering current for these tropical waves and tropical systems this time of year. The placement of that high pressure zone has a big say in where these storms go. Notice that is churning the atmosphere clockwise up in the upper levels, and that kind of carries and steers these storms a lot of times. So with a placement like this, the typical path that we're seeing and what we've seen with these tropical waves over the last couple of weeks is they come off the coast of Africa, they get about halfway across the Atlantic, they get caught up in that high pressure, then they kind of get shuttled northward and then eastbound. You can actually see some disturbed weather off the coast of Portugal and Spain. That was initially a tropical wave that was carried all the way around that high pressure zone and kind of shuttled back to the east. So that's the typical steering pattern that we've been seeing, and that's what we're expecting for right now. So that's why we're saying right now no major threat to the Gulf, because more likely than not, just like the one that's over Bermuda right now or close to it, this next one off of Africa is probably going to get shuttled up, kind of put on the conveyor belt and sent back out to sea. Again though, still something we're going to watch. Here's future track. This is showing us the surface pressure and also your rainfall. So green's going to be the rainfall. You see the wave there near Bermuda just off that high pressure. And then our next wave that's going to be coming off the coast of Africa. So there goes that first disturbance. It goes way up in the North Atlantic, not an issue for anybody. But this next storm, even on the models, already has kind of an impressive look. Once it gets out into open water, I think it could develop pretty quickly. And you see it actually maintains that development. This is now next Saturday. So again, good time frame like the Hurricane Center is saying within the next 7 days. That's when we could be seeing that thing develop. Now, what is going to happen, more likely than not, like we talked about, is it's going to get picked up by that high and carried around. Some other promising news with this, and why it's not a threat at this point, is this high pressure zone is actually going to pull further east. So the entire steering pattern is going to move east. That's likely to take this wave even further east and up into the Atlantic. So that's the current thinking right now. That's what this model is showing. Again, this is just one forecast model. We're now up to next Monday, so over a week away. But it does start to have the sign of getting turned back up into the Atlantic and then back out to sea. So that's the thinking with this next wave, is that it's likely going to be another fish storm back out to sea. But of course, we'll always watch it. That's very typical, by the way, for August and September storms. They come across the Atlantic, and a lot of times they get picked up in that Bermuda high and shuttled back out. A few could still make it in the Caribbean, but right now that high pressure is so strong, it's more likely to kind of curve around that. That's the current thinking. Like the last couple of waves, even if it gets to the Caribbean, let's say it steers far enough away from that high pressure and it just continues straight west, look at all the wind shear it's going to run into. It's almost going to be like a wall of wind shear for this tropical wave, and that's good news for us. What's going to happen is if this wave makes it into the wind shear is going to shred it apart, and it's not going to develop into anything. Hurricanes and tropical storms need to be very symmetrical. They need to develop straight upward. When you get this wind shear, notice it's also west to east wind flow. So you've got the tropical system coming this way, and then all the wind kind of pushing back against it. It shears off the top of that system, and then it kind of loses its intensity. So to kind of rest your worries here, if this is something you're concerned about, high pressure is way out here. More likely it does that back out to sea. Even if it gets into the Caribbean, more likely than not, that thing is going to get torn apart. Still some dust we're watching as well. This is another thing that tends to hinder tropical development. So anytime we get that Saharan dust, that's also good news because it kind of stifles any potential for tropical storms or hurricanes. Does look like another batch of dust going to be coming across maybe by about this time next weekend. So maybe some slightly more hazy skies in the Gulf next week. But again, that's going to be another thing that limits any tropical development. So right now, yes, we are watching a couple of storms, potential storms out in the Atlantic, but nothing that's posing a threat to the Gulf or the Caribbean or anywhere on the East Coast. Again, more likely than not, these are all going out to sea. Still got to watch, though, as we get closer to the peak of the season, which is typically September the 10th. That is your average climatological peak of hurricane season. We're here on August 23rd, so we are climbing that hill. But with it being an El Nino year, which is typically where you get all that extra wind shear, it's not likely to be a very active hurricane season. Hopefully we can keep it that way. We've only had 3 storms, Arthur, Bertha, Cristobal, all tropical storms. We haven't had a hurricane yet this year. Dolly is the next name on the list. So if either one of those waves out in the Atlantic develop into a tropical storm, it would become Dolly. We'll keep an eye on it, of course, keep you updated. But again, right now, no threat to the Gulf or the Caribbean or anywhere on the East Coast. I think mostly these are going to be out to sea. We'll keep you updated, though. Back here at home in Houston, it is going to be a hot week ahead, at least for the next couple of days. 101 Monday, 100 Tuesday and Wednesday. Sunny and dry for the first part of the week. We do get a slight pattern change by the end of the weekend. The weekend, though, high pressure has been right on top of us. It's going to move away just a little bit, just enough that the temperature comes down a degree or two. 96 next weekend. It's better than 102, 103. We'll take it, but I know it's not cool enough. We got to take every degree we can right now, though. Slight storm chances Thursday and Friday, just those isolated little pop-ups, and then maybe a couple of downpours through the weekend as well. But again, right now, no tropical threats to the Gulf or the Caribbean. Even though we do have a couple of waves in the Atlantic, they are likely to stay in the Atlantic and be out to sea. Regardless of what's going on, whether it's happening or not, we are always here every night at 9 p.m. with your tropical weather update just for an overview. Sometimes it's good to just say there's no threat, so we always like to provide you with that information. You can catch us right back here tomorrow night, same time, same place at 9 p.m. as Chief Meteorologist David Paul is back in. He'll get you the latest on your tropical update then. For now, I'm Meteorologist Trevor Birchett at KHOU 11 in Houston.